Hey dudes and dudettes, it's Brian Wang. Got an update for you for this week. On my mind has really been the events that happened in Las Vegas this week, the shooting on Sunday night. So, I mean, details are still coming out and we're still trying to make sense of all that. But there's a lot. I'm watching the comments on Facebook, I'm watching this unfold in the discussion online on social media, and I really want to spend a few minutes and share with you some of the perspective that I see from my vantage point as a professional educator, as a sociologist, as a teacher, right? As someone who's kind of seen and studied conflict and seen the nuances of what does a gun law do, for example, because that's going to be the next fallout that happens about all this gun control, or the national debate around firearms. One of my friends on Facebook asked me, how do you prevent all this? The thing is, guys, you can't prevent there from being wolves. There will always be wolves, and you can't just stop them, right? It's not that easy. We live in a world where there is scarcity of resources, whether that resource be food, shelter, water, power, political power. If that resource is the ideology of telling someone how to think, how do you structure someone else's thoughts? That's the unique resource that we as humans, human society competes over. And it's because of this competition over ideology that we have wars in the Middle East for centuries, that we have terrorist attacks and bombings and whatever that you may have. I don't know this guy's motivations. I'm not saying he's a terrorist. I'm not saying this is specific to reason why, but anytime you have people disagreeing, and anytime you have people disagreeing, it's only a matter of time till someone decides to cross that threshold by what normally we consider to be acceptable, all right? And so when we look at the nature of conflict, you must understand that there is conflict. There's gonna be conflict. It's not something you can just get rid of. You can't get rid of the tools of conflict, because then people will find a way. Carrying knives is illegal in China. Didn't stop terrorists from using kitchen knives and stabbing people in a train station, right? Guns are illegal, and handguns particularly in vast majority of European countries. Very difficult to get guns, fighting type guns, military type guns, and yet they can rent a truck and run it into revelers at a festival, right? Now in the United States we get guns, but this shooter was using a machine gun. Very, very obvious to tell that the machine gun, it's very difficult to get a machine gun. Go to a gun store and go ask them, how do I buy a machine gun? And you'll learn it's very, very difficult. On the other hand, no matter how illegal it is, they exist in our society, they exist in the world, and someone can make one. It's not hard to make one. It's cheaper to make one by 1,000-fold compared to trying to buy one legally. The thing is, when we look at like yesterday's thing, we know that you can't make the wolf go away. You can't just get rid of wolves. It just doesn't work like that. You can disarm the wolf's teeth and he'll find another way, right? But when we look at us, the sheep, right? If we look at the vast majority of people, and you think of us as sheep, this is a model from a guy named Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. The model's not perfect, but it gives you something to think off of. It's a visual imagery, okay? So you have sheep. What is the mechanism of defense for sheep? All animals have a way of protecting themselves. Think of the tortoise. Think of the hare. Think of the monarch butterfly. It has poison and toxin inside its intestines, right? Every animal has a certain way of protecting itself. The skunk is not a violent creature, but it has a tool that it needs for self-defense. For us, humans, our tool is to make and use tools, aka firearms, right? But if we look at this model, now we're not sheep, but in this case there's a lot of similarity. Years ago, if you don't know, I have a dog. I have a wolf dog. Hey, I happen to be wearing a shirt with a wolf on it. But years ago, my wolf dog and our other dog, a husky, they were out playing. We were out in the woods, and I didn't know. I just let them go play, and I didn't know that right over the crest of this hill was a whole flock of sheep. And despite all this, talk and rhetoric and metaphor, I was able to witness what is it like to have the wolf attacking the sheep. Do the sheep run? Sure, they could run, but they didn't run anywhere. Could they fight? There's tons of them. There's hundreds of them. Could they fight? Sure, they could fight, but they don't fight and they don't run. Where do they go? They go into the center. They go into the middle. And when you have sheep that are scared, what do? They hide into each other. Okay, we hear this thing called safety in numbers, right? How do you have safety in numbers? That doesn't make any sense. Safety in numbers is based upon the assumption that bad things happen to someone else. There are fewer wolves than there are sheep, and he can't possibly kill all of us. That is a silly, silly, silly notion, but yet that's how we survive. And so if you look at the videos from the Sunday night shooting, you'll see people, they're just ducking. Some of them are just standing. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. I mean, I would say, get out of there. But they just kind of stand and look. because they're surrounded by other sheep and they're hiding in the middle of the herd. And the mechanism of defense when you hide in the herd is to think, well, that bad thing is going to happen to someone else and it's not going to happen to me. If you're there, you're not doing anything about it, then you're part of the problem, right? You can get out, you can get medical attention. So here's the other thing. Today's video is going to run longer than normal. I want to introduce you guys to some basic first aid tools. Have you guys gotten training on trauma first aid, car accident, gunshot wounds, stabbings, trip and fall, right? Head injuries? This kind of trauma, bleeding trauma, is simple to treat on the pre-hospital setting. As far as what we can do, it is relatively simple to handle if you understand the concepts. Here, take a look at some of these tools. Okay, so you're seeing a Cat 7 blue training tourniquet. Now this is a combat tourniquet that our forces are currently using, we've been developing through this kind of modern ongoing armed conflict. Next, you see next to it, a SWAT T tourniquet, and that's a very fast, simple way of carrying a tourniquet. It's so slender and very easy to pack. It's very cheap, it's very light. Next one is Celox Rapid, a Z-fold gauze, and this is a hemostatic gauze. It helps to clot blood, and you use your fingers and you stuff this cotton gauze with this chemical into gunshot wounds or into bleeding holes, and it helps to stop the bleeding. The last one is a trauma bandage, also known as an Israeli bandage. And again, this has helped you to hold pressure on an injury. The only thing I could think when I was there watching all those videos is I wish I was there in that crowd of 22,000 people. There are roughly 550 gunshot wound casualties in one city block. Can you imagine the workload for trauma first responders, for police officers, for firemen? How do you handle 550 gunshot wound casualties in one space at the same time? That is incredible. It is fantastically, it's like mind-boggling. I just wish, my regret was, I wish I could have been there because I could help them with first aid. And that's what I want out of you guys. Right? You could be the sheep and you could hide inside the flock and try and just, pack yourself in the middle so you'd be safe from the wolf and just hope that you don't get hurt. Or you could be out there preparing and looking and being aware of your surroundings and finding the tools and the training and get involved with your community. Get involved with the people that you love. Be able to do something in a time of crisis to help them. And that bugs me that there's people out there that would just say, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. The world is so wrong. Guys, this is the world we live in. Regardless of if you like it or not, regardless if you think there's something wrong or not, this is the world we live in. And so when we have a world that is broken like this, you must understand it is not broken. This is the way our world functions. There is conflict, there is disagreement. There are people who do not get along, and there are people who are willing to use violence to gain what they're trying to get. It's not the wolf's fault that he is the wolf. The wolf is making the best use of what he is born to do and what he needs in order to eat. There are people that want certain things in life, and they're different from you, and they're different from me. That doesn't make them bad, it doesn't make them wrong. It just means that they're willing to use violence and take what they want from us. And you can choose, in the nature of conflict, you can understand, you can just bury your head in a hole and pretend that this doesn't exist. Or that you can pretend that bad things will happen to someone else, or you can see the situation and you can do something about it to be proactive about preparing and training and equipping yourself with knowledge and tools. Guys, we have a trauma first aid class coming up. If you're interested, it's going to be in San Jose, California, in the Bay Area. It's going to be on November 11th. The instructor is a guy named Chris Valenzuela. If you want to check him out, go to spentbrasstraining.com. He's based out of Southern California, so we could bring him up here every couple of months for a trauma first responder class. Now, it's called first responder. It means you are first on scene. It doesn't mean it has to be for EMTs or cops or firefighters, okay? You'll learn to use these tools, a cat tourniquet, hemostatic gauze, right? We'll start shooting through a piece of pork and start packing that and simulating the blood of a trauma. You'll understand how to use a pressure dressing. You'll understand how to drag and move patients. Everything that we saw on Sunday night is exactly what we cover in this trauma first responder class. And so I highly encourage you guys to look into that if you're available on Saturday, November 11, 2017 in San Jose, California. We can fit a max of 18 students in that class, although we typically only fit 12. So if this ends up being a big class, we'll make accommodations and we'll just discuss with the facility how we can fit everybody, okay? The other thing is, if you're interested in defensive handgun fundamentals, We offer that every 2 months. Defensive Handgun Skill Builder, which is about speed and mastery using the gun. That's every third Sunday of the month. Every fourth Sunday of the month, we do a full combat gunfighting, which is again force on force, low light. You're working full speed against a live opponent, actually shooting live opponents with non-lethal ammunition. Dynamite Drills Day, we run it the first and second weekend of every month, rotating NorCal, SoCal, Houston, Texas, and working on other expansions. So the thing is, if you guys agree, let me know your thoughts. If you guys disagree, tell me your thoughts. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. Thank you for being patient through the long video. I'm glad you guys stuck around. Hopefully my friends in Las Vegas, you guys are safe. And you guys understand that this is not the first, nor will it be the last of this kind of incident. Be safe out there, train hard, think about those you love, understand that life is delicate, life is precious, and life is short. You can choose what day you train, you cannot choose what day you fight. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.